Hey, good morning everybody, day, whatever it is for you. What I got going on here is just a little bit of I don't know if it's fungus or mold or whatever. I mean, it happens all the time with dead wood. Obviously, you have decomposition, funguses and mycorrhizas and things that come in, and the wood chips that I just put down may have contributed a little bit to this. If you notice the dust that I kicked up in the past couple videos, I'm a little bit concerned that that landed on the ends of some of these firewood logs. And we were wet for like 3 days straight. We had rain 2 days in a row and it stayed wet for like 2 days. The grass was still wet like 2 days later when I woke up and came out here. But just in an attempt and as an experiment, I'm going to take a solution of water and bleach, and it's a little bit stronger than 50-50 in favor of bleach. It was like 250 whatever this measurement is of bleach, and I put in 450 total. So it was 250. I guess this is mLs. I can't even read this bottle. Like 200, that's yeah, 250 mLs of bleach, and then I put up to I put 200 mLs of water in, and I have a wire brush. And if you've ever cleaned a house or anything, that's a good way to clean vinyl siding, is just water and bleach, and it just evaporates off of there, any mold or anything on the siding. So I'm just going to kind of lightly mist the ends of these firewood logs that have some of the beginning starts of this little powdery mildew or mold or fungus or whatever it is, and just try to keep my firewood clean and stop a problem before it gets out of hand. You know, if this stuff starts flowering and growing and everything, it'll be way out of hand. So if I think I can get it under control with this, I think that'd be a neat thing to do, because this is just maple. It's not like it's going in the smoke or anything. It's just good firewood, and I think a little bit of water and bleach just misted on the ends of the logs and then dried isn't going to hurt anything, you know, as far as burning it. And I think it would be a much nicer looking firewood to stop any mold or anything growing on it. So I'll bring you in closer and show you what it looks like here, what I'm looking at, and then I'll go ahead and spray it, and we'll come out and check it tomorrow and see what it looks like in a day, and then I'll make the video and see what the results are. Okay, so here is this stack of maple, and it is in the shade. It's under this nice little oak tree, which I wanted to save, but that's a whole other story. I don't really want to cut it down, but it isn't doing well because that tree behind it, that hackberry, is overshadowing it, and it grows all up over it. So this oak tree is growing sideways, and I'm gonna prune that this winter, I think. And I kind of am thinking about getting rid of it totally because it's just not growing straight at all. But that's what's kind of causing the shade on this firewood. And if you move in closer, you can kind of see some of these pieces just have some of this powdery on the end. And that's the type of stuff that when it gets in the sun, it'll dry right up and go away. But because it's been wet for 3 days, it's just kind of sitting here. It hasn't had a chance to dry. And you can see it doesn't all have it, but some of these logs that were wet or whatever have a little bit. So I'm just gonna mist those with water and bleach. Here's one that's pretty bad. See that one there? Little powdery stuff on the end. And the rest of the logs look fine. It's just these ends that are sweating out the moisture that are getting it. So let's just see what happens if I do this bleach thing. So this is all I did. I just went through and misted these logs and used a little wire brush. I'm only looking at like 2 cords of wood here, so it's not a ton of wood. And it took me about 10 or 15 minutes just to go through it and spray it and scrub it. But I'm going to speed this up because there's no sense in y'all staring at me the whole time while I do this over and over again. It doesn't take very long though. Okay, so I went through and I sprayed all of the ends that had any moldy, funky looking stuff on them. It was mostly the maple. The oak is doing really well. The cedar is really resistant. There's nothing on the cedar. Everything else, there's not much on. It's kind of just the maple. That's some fresh cut stuff. It must be bleeding out a lot of moisture right now. But it was killing it. As soon as I sprayed it, it went from kind of a gray color to black or darker. So I mean, it zapped it and killed it immediately. I'll take you in and we'll look at what it looks like right after I sprayed it, and then we'll check it in a day or two. I don't know if this stuff will come back, but this is nothing to do to spend 10 minutes until the winter time. I'm sure when it's freezing cold, this won't be happening at all. So if I can just get this stuff dry through the fall, do this if I have to once a month or so and kill the mold off and keep it looking really nice, I think that's a small price to pay to keep your firewood nice, because unless I remove this oak tree and probably that hackberry, I'm not going to be able to get rid of this shade. So I'm going to pretty soon have to start stacking wood in another row in front, I guess, too, because I'm going to be out of space soon anyways. But let's move in and look and see what it looks like today, and then we'll do a follow-up tomorrow. Okay, so here's what it looks like now. And I guess like that was a piece that had some on it here. It's just dead now. Just kind of a stain. And there's some more. I don't remember where some of those pieces were that looked bad. It really, yeah, like this one, that was one of the ones that looked really bad, and it just kind of left a little black mark on it. But it is dead now, and hopefully that bleach will change the pH of the end of the logs for a while, and that stuff won't be able to grow. We'll see what happens. I'll do a follow-up tomorrow, and then, you know, in a month or so, and see if it comes back. Maybe I'll do another one. If you're interested, let me know. I may not have sprayed that piece, or I may not have scrubbed that piece. I may have just sprayed it, and because it looks wet. You can see the ones I sprayed. I didn't scrub any of these in the back row, and it's all fading away. This cedar was freshly cut, and there is nothing on the cedar. There's a little tiny piece here on that one, but I mean, for the most part, the cedar is like pristine. There's hardly anything on it, and that's fresh cut wood. Cedar it's a pretty resistant wood for a lot of stuff. And when you look at the oak as well, that's basically mostly all red oak. There's nothing on any of that. It's all good to go. And this is starting to get more in the sun from here over to the right. These are all in the sun. All that red oak is totally fine. Nothing. But when you look at like these pieces of maple that are mixed in, there's one that had it. Maple, 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 maple. I think that wood is just wet, and it may have been something that was in the tree too. I don't know. Something may have killed that tree, and that may have been what it was. So it's kind of species specific and certainly tree specific, because all that red oak it's totally fine. There's nothing on any of that red oak. Some of this stuff that you're seeing isn't even mold. That's just sawdust. That's not even anything. We'll see what happens with this project, but I was also thinking too that if you needed to ramp this up a little bit, you could use like a pump sprayer or a backpack sprayer, and you had a long line of firewood. You could just go down and kind of broadcast mist the whole pile, and you could do a lot of it cheaply and pretty quickly that way. As the title suggests, this is about 4 hours later on the same day, and the water has just kind of had a chance to dry. Everything's dry pretty much now, and you can see what happened. It's just kind of a black stain now. It's not fuzzy or anything or growing anymore. It went away and just turned into kind of little black dots, and I think it's pretty much dead. And I gotta be honest, I got like it's actually a 3-day update coming up next, and nothing has changed yet. It's just dead and it's black. So here we are now. This is 3 days later. I actually did it on a Thursday, and this is Sunday, and it doesn't look any different than 4 hours later. I mean, it didn't completely like disappear, but that stuff is dead, and it's just a black stain, and it's not coming back yet. It's sunny and bright, and the rain is gone now. So we're back. I did this on a Thursday. It's now Sunday. And basically all the mold is dead and gone, and it's finally dried up out here. It's nice and sunny and high in the 80s. It's going to be in the 90s all week. So hopefully the rest of this will just dry out finally and the rain will be gone. But everything looks pretty good now. I was just worried I didn't want this stuff to become established. So we'll see what happens. There's a tiny bit of it right there that I missed with the sprayer, and I'm just gonna watch that in the sun this week and see if it dries up on its own. I think this piece even had like some large mushrooms and stuff on it, some real thick, heavy stuff. It's now just kind of a little white stain. There was more stuff that looked like that, and it reduced it greatly and probably killed it, so that's good. And everything else is good to go. That's Osage orange and oak.